The Big Five American sports are all scheduled in November for the first time since November 2020, and we want to celebrate by slashing the cost of all daily packages by 50%, including 5% best bets. Starting Tuesday, November 1st through Sunday, November 7th, $25 daily packages are priced at $12.50, and $35 5% best bets are priced at $17.50. But even better, this is the perfect time to take advantage of WagerTalk's one-day all access. Lock in the handicapper of your choice for one full day for only $39, including when they have a 5% top play that normally sells for $35. But during our 50% slash promotion, you get a one-day all access for only $19.50. This special is valid through Sunday, November 7th, so save the whole week long.
All right, guys, welcome back in and happy Friday. It is the NBA Tip-Off Show powered by WagerTalk.com. And loaded card here tonight coming out of a five-game card last night, which saw once again the people scratching their head going, why do we keep giving the Lakers double digit? Why? Why are you laying double digits with Lakers? Big win by OKC, and you'll notice there's one person missing from the NBA Tip-Off Show here today. Let's check out who we got on the show. Oh, no, Ski. That's a shocker. All right, so we got up at the top Tony Mejia back in the house, ready to go here, as is, and Tony Finn knows exactly what I am talking about here. Welcome back, Tony Finn, and, of course, the Friday crew. There he is, Kevin Dolan in the house. The Irish Mist is here, and Tony Mejia, I'll start with you here, my friend. Last night was interesting, to say the least here. Wasn't sure if we were going to be able to. Should we lay double digits with Phoenix? Should we lay double digits ever with the Lakers? And we weren't sure what we were going to get from either. But I think the Phoenix win was pretty impressive, given all the noise outside. But the Lakers, I guess we should come to expect that, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I had a 2-1 night, and it started off poorly with the Miami Heat's no-show against Boston, and ended off really nicely. I had both Oklahoma City plus 11, no sprinkle on the money line because even my imagination's not that wild. But I did have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 23 points, I think, and he got there 28. Just throwing up moonshots and having 10 years to set it up and have that set shot that looks really strange and is going in. And obviously that was one of the catalysts in a comeback win. The Lakers were up 18 or 19 in that game and just completely floundered. And I don't understand. I mean, I do understand why it was still double digits because you do have Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, but we knew LeBron James wasn't going to play. And he had really given that team a boost, as had Avery Bradley. They're just relying on too many guys that you can't rely on, to be 25 years old. Their 25-year-old selves, and they're still getting all this credit that they probably don't deserve. And at the same time, the Thunder, not a good basketball team, bottom 5 team for sure in this league. But all these kids are going to get up for playing against the Lakers at Staples and Russell Westbrook. If you're any OKC player, being that guy is a franchise legend for that team. So I was on the bright side there, and like I said, 16-4. On Friday plays in the NBA thus far through the first 2 weeks of the season. So I've got a 4% play out there. We'll add some more after the show because I like to wait until lineups come into full focus. But hoping for another big night in the association.
Yeah, it's Lakers are, I think, are they the only two, or maybe one of just a handful of teams that have been favored in every game so far this year, and I think they've only covered in 2 of them. So stop betting the Lakers in double digits as a favorite, please. Tony Finn, welcome in, my man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We were on the show yesterday, scratching our head at Ski, going, "What are you picking the Lakers for?
Yeah.
What are you picking the Lakers for?" But I will say this: he was a little reluctant, but he backed the contrarian side with Boston last night. Cha-ching, and the points there, and you had a pretty good night as well, Tony Finn.
Well, it was okay. It was, I only released one actually after stumbling through that show yesterday because the whole thing was It was a conundrum. It was a contrary, one team contrary to the other with strength, weaknesses, et cetera, et cetera. And the Lakers, we talked about it before the show yesterday. How in the world this team's still a double-digit favorite? Even if LeBron was playing, how are they a double-digit favorite? He's not playing. And we saw what happened. We heard what happened. The other team that's been a favorite all year, Joe, and it happened yesterday, and it really didn't happen yesterday. It may have come to an end yesterday. I don't know what the closing number was, and that's the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz have been favorites. I think maybe that I thought maybe even Golden State, but that may not be accurate. But long story short, a good night. 1-0 runs my record. I'm 13-2 last 15, and on the season about I think it's 23-9. So I'd love to have that continue, but like anything in life, all good things eventually stumble. Value on teams eventually come full circle, and if we don't get off at the right time, we pay, and our clients pay the price. So what is that tonight? We're going to find out. We'll talk about it.
All right, well, we got a bunch of games in there, and Kevin Dolan, my man, continuing to roll in the profits. Certainly, NBA continues to be one of your top sports, and I believe last time we saw you here, you were reluctantly kissing the rosary beads, a couple of Hail Marys. You did not want to piss off the contrarian gods, and it worked out in your favor. Another winner for you. So what else you got going on right now at WagerTalk?
Well, Joe, I mustn't have prayed enough because, oh man, where do I start? Like, I had an absolutely, as you just said, I had an absolutely great start. I'm just going to go through my little moan now for 2 minutes. Great start of the NBA campaign, 6-1 to start the year. I was on a 33-17 run as well on all 5% plays going back to April, including a 7-0 NBA 5% run as well over that stretch. I was mega excited, as I said in Wednesday's show, about releasing my first 5% NBA play of the year. I had the Portland Trail Blazers. I sent the play out to clients at -3.5. Obviously, absolutely love the spot. You know, I don't release a lot of 5% plays in the NBA. And it wasn't just the fact, look, you know, I mentioned those numbers. We were super hot on 5% NBA plays in the past. And, you know, wasn't just that the fact that releases at -3.5 went straight to -5.5. It wasn't that kind of, you know, tick up to 4, tick up to 4.5. It literally went 3.5 to -5.5. So some serious money must have followed me. It looked like the perfect storm. Unfortunately for me, it was Perfect Storm, the movie, because Portland absolutely stunk the joint up. So, yeah, obviously, look, we all know beating the closing line is you know, what it's all about. But that performance by the Trailblazers, you know, I still haven't got over it, Joe, to be honest. So, look, we have a 5% NFL triple pack loaded up for Sunday, so that's likely when we'll bounce back. But it's just going to take me a bit of time to forgive Portland, is all.
Who knows? Maybe tonight is the night for a little redemption for Portland. We'll look into it, but you're not alone. You are not alone watching that Portland debacle there the other night. But don't worry, we've got you covered here, Kev. We've got you guys covered here as well, because we're going to start with the 4-0 this week contrarian play of the day here. And the contrarian gods continue to speak, and we continue to profit there. 4-0 this week here, guys. The Cavs, the Rockets, the Raptors, and last night were the Celtics getting it done for us. And outright wins, too, which was pretty impressive there. But tonight, I'd said enough's enough. And I hate to do this, but when we look at the board, one team continues to be undervalued. Another team now all of a sudden seems to be the darlings. And that is why we are going to have to make the decision between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, who somehow or another opened up as a 5.5, 6-point favorite at home against this Cavs team. And if you've been following Toronto and the Cavs, and Toronto's had some very high-profile wins here, taking down the Knicks in the Garden, right? They're really starting to figure it out offensively, but the lack of respect for the Cavs as a 5.5, 6-point underdog here is a bit head-scratching, Tony Mejia. So can I interest you in looking the Cavs' way? And they've done nothing but profit for those that have backed them against this Toronto Raptors team here tonight.
Well, my projected score for this game is Toronto 106, Cleveland 104. to certainly give me those points. I mean, I understand why the line is what it is. The Raptors are ahead at home, although we got to text Prez or Andrew McInnes and find out what's going on with Canada's love for the Raptors, because the Raptors, spent all year in Florida playing in Tampa, isolated from the game. They were even in the bubble before that, and I expected, it's not the Air Canada anymore; it's the Scotiabank Arena to be at capacity from the outset. And there were plenty of good seats available for that opener against Washington and games against Dallas, Indiana, Orlando. They beat Indiana and Orlando, lost to Dallas, though. It's like a team that really they didn't get a ton of support, and now they're coming back home off of a 3-game sweep on the road. Scotty Barnes, the Rookie of the Year favorite, is back, so I'm interested to see if the Raptors do start cooking with a home court advantage. Cleveland, as you mentioned, has been pretty solid. They were one of my plays on a surprise over for season win totals. It's a low bar at 27.5, and they're off to a good start. This is an interesting matchup because we have the other co-Rookie of the Year favorite for what they've done over the first couple of weeks, in Evan Mobley, and he's gotten off to a really nice start. They beat the Blazers, much to Kevin's chagrin, and I was with you on that, Dolan, and the other night. And really, they did it without Kevin Love, who's in COVID protocols, Isaac Okoro, who's still out, and they've got another player who is out with COVID, or at least in the protocols aspect of things, in Lauri Markkanen, who made a huge difference in giving them a big front line. So from the standpoint of getting too many points tonight, I'm with the contrarian gods, although I will say this, it's contrarian to think that the contrarian play will go 5-0, because that statistically isn't as likely as 4-1. So maybe it's super contrarian play of the week.
Listen, if you want to start flipping off the contrarian gods, you be my guest here, my friend. But I do think we have it on record that he, in fact, is leading with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the contrarian side. The Raptors have been good on the road, certainly. I think, they've won 4 straight on the road, but not that great at home there, Tony Finn, this Raptors team. So what do you think? Can I interest you in a little Cavalier plus 5.5 points here tonight?
Yeah. As unusual it is for me to agree with the contrarian play, I have to agree here. I've cashed on Toronto 2 in a row. You mentioned, or Tony mentioned, the 2 dog wins, straight up wins, 2 dogs, one in New York, one in, I think, Washington. Is that right? Or Atlanta, one of the 2.
That's
I can't
correct.
remember.
Yep, Washington.
Yep.
Yeah. Washington's been overrated, but and having some struggles. But I think here there is some little bit, wouldn't label it quite disrespect as you did, Joe, but it is in Toronto. They do have to cross the border. They have to go through customs and about 25,000 tests to make sure they don't have COVID if you're going to Canada, by the way. But Cleveland's been really good defensively. I mean, they have. Their half-court defense, 88.7, 100 plays in the half-court, 59, allowing less than 60% from 4 feet and in at the rim. These are 2 of the spots that, if you look at the metrics, where Toronto, that's their weaknesses, too, on offense. And in truth, this is a game, the total, I think, is they're making the adjustments, aren't they? Because the total here is pretty low. I'm not on this game. I don't really have a huge interest in the game because I want to keep piggybacking Toronto, but all of a sudden that shine is come off them a little bit. And now this number, it's like I said in our intro, Joe. There's a time and a place. You have to know when to jump on and when to jump off teams. I mean, buying and selling, and this is one of those times where I'm backing off completely, or I would have been on Toronto probably.
Okay. All right. There you go. Well, you're at your own risk there. And I know, Kevin, you know better. So expect Jared Allen here tonight, another double-double, just to dominate the rim, because that is not necessarily one of Toronto's best parts of their offense. So what do you think here? 5.5 points. You willing to grab it here?
Yeah, make it a sweep, Joe. I kind of circled this for me best bet in today's show, and then it got released as the contrarian play as well. So yeah, I'm definitely on board here. I just really like the spot actually for the Cavs here, catching Toronto returning home after sweeping on the road. On top of that, the Cavs are playing with a ton of confidence right now. Took some major scalps already this season. Atlanta, Denver, Clippers, Blazers. Obviously, don't want to talk about them too much, but And you said at the top, the Raptors are just 2-3 at home this season. So I do think Cleveland continue to roll here. I think 5.5 is a bit too many points to be given the Cavaliers in the spot. So yeah, I completely agree. Give me Cleveland tonight plus the points.
There it is. Boom. Contrarian play of the day, guys. The 5.5. The Cavs heading to Scotiabank there, taking on the Toronto Raptors, looking for the clean sweep this week with the contrarian play of the day. All right, let's check it out. Our featured matchup number 1 here tonight, and we got a lot of people here head scratching right now, as the New York Knicks heading on the road to take on the Milwaukee Bucks, who I believe are welcoming back Drew Holiday tonight into the lineup. Yay! 4.5 as an opening number from Milwaukee. Total 217.5, and that is since gone, the other way to the New York Knicks, because I'm seeing 2.5s here right now. Tony Mejia, talk to me about what you think we're going to get here from this Milwaukee team that people are willing to back the Knicks.
Well, look, Brook Lopez is still out. Chris Middleton's dealing with COVID. He's still out. So I understand why the Bucks are only 4.5-point favorites and now 3.5, 3, or whatever, the public going the way that they're going. But I don't understand it, because these are the defending champions with Giannis Antetokounmpo still playing at a very high level as the catalyst, coming off a win where they destroyed Detroit. And obviously, destroying Detroit isn't much, but they sleepwalked through games against San Antonio and Utah. And now you would imagine with Drew Holiday back that they'll have some semblance of being the Bucks back in their back pocket. Bobby Portis was out for a bunch of those games. He's back now. Grayson Allen can go back to not doing too much. George Hill can go back to being a pest off the bench and not having to watch his fouls early in games on the defensive end because he was starting. So it's the Bucks being much closer to what they're supposed to be versus a Knicks team that has lost 2 in a row to the Raptors in a game where they completely lost focus halfway through after building a big lead, and to the Pacers where they started fast again on the offensive end and then got sucked into the 3-point shooting contest and didn't end up reaching the century mark. So coming off a 13-point loss in Indiana, a 9-point loss at home to Toronto, and you're only giving them 3.5 against the defending champs, it's really a weird spot. It's enough to where I have the Bucks winning by 7, and I think I'm going to keep my clients out of this one. So a little bit of contrarian cousin feel here for me. Gonna pass on that and just see if the Bucks can pull this off, because I think they will. I think the Knicks have a lot of depth, but at the same time, until they start utilizing Emmanuel quickly a little more, and it's just Tibbs going with his vets, his preference for that, with Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose getting those minutes. I think New York is going to be held back for a little bit as a regular season team. So we're seeing some regression from the Knicks. I think it continues tonight, but the line scares me off the game.
Yeah, it's tough. The Knicks that we learned and profited from last year, we knew what we were going to get. It was going to be a defensive slog. It was going to be brutal. Now they're chucking up threes all over the place, Kevin Dolan. That's what they're doing. So if they can't hit threes, apparently they don't win and cover very many games. So if they're on, they're probably going to win and win easily. But if they're not, it's Milwaukee here. It's a tough spot. What do you think we're going to get from them tonight?
It is a tough spot, Joe. As Tony said, the Bucks absolutely blew the doors off the Pistons in Tuesday night's win. 60.1% effective field goal percentage in that game from Milwaukee, 45.9% from downtown as well. But it's just for me the fact that the Bucks kind of pulled that performance from out of nowhere. I thought, they hadn't won a single game at home before, the opener. You have to go all the way back to October 19th for that. So coming off 3 straight losses heading into that game. Plus the fact that those percentages that Milwaukee shot in Tuesday night's win were way, way above, any other single season averages this year. If I had to make a play, I'd probably be looking towards New York here. The Knicks, had a miserable shooting night themselves in Monday night's loss to the Raptors, shot just 5 of 24 from downtown in that game, 20.8%. This is a team that ranks number 2 in the league on 3-point shooting this season. So, just the law of averages for me, would have me leaning towards New York taking the points here. And especially, look, with Brook Lopez out, Chris Middleton out, as Tony mentioned as well, through COVID protocol, that's probably the side of the ledger I'll be looking at.
Look at that. Yeah, there it is, guys. You can see Holiday back in there for Milwaukee. And that's really, I think, a catalyst here, Tony Finn, as to why we've seen some money come in towards Milwaukee here again. Originally opened up a little higher. 3.5s, even 4s now starting to pop up. So the buyback on Milwaukee is starting to take place here. But answer me this. Are the Knicks going to do better than 5 of 24 from 3? And can you trust them enough to be able to take the points or money line for that matter?
I guess my first question is, did you see, is it official? Is it official? Is Holiday going to be, has he been activated? Is he going to start? Have we heard that, or is that still speculation that he's just probable? That's my question.
Very likely.
To you.
Very
very likely.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Let's go back to what the fine Irishman talked a little bit about, and that was this game. Now there's some differences, but let's just use the topic in general and say we talked about this game too, where Milwaukee was minus 4.5 in Detroit. You remember 5.5 right in there. And we talked about how it's pretty tough to play this Milwaukee club, even against a Detroit team that has offensive metrics that are high school-like, okay? They're abysmal. So, and then they shoot really well. They blow the doors off. And I think, Mr. Dolan's correct. A lot of that had to do with maybe we overvalued the injuries on Milwaukee, and they played pretty well. Here's the deal. New York's better than Detroit. They're better than Detroit. And they are still trying to find their way. This is a completely different offense. The addition of Kemba Walker sacrifices some defense, adds some offense. It takes New York out of that, what we know their offense was. It was a solitary isolation offense with Randall last year. That's it. That's what they ran. And to some point, they're still running, but they're shooting a hell of a lot more three-pointers. They are the ones that have kind of regressed a little bit here. Are they due to bounce back? Their offense is minus, I think they're minus 104.7 or 104.7 on 100 possessions. That's down quite a bit from their start. Negative 10.2 net ratings, way down from the early goings of what they were doing earlier. Shooting, I think, about 32 or 33% beyond the arc. They're better than that as well. So this said, the absences, Lopez, Middleton, Vincenzo. Lots of absences. We don't know enough. I just don't trust Milwaukee. And not that I'm going to jump into the corner of Madison Square Garden and start rooting for the Knicks, but I'd have to agree with Dolan here. I would probably be on the Knicks if I'm on a game here. Everything is too strange not to be on the Knicks here, in my opinion.
All right, he likes the Knicks there, backing him. Not Tony Mejia, though. Oh, no, he called out the cousin of the contrarian god. Man, he referenced the cousins of the contrarian gods. Unbelievable in this one. I think we'll learn a little bit about both of these teams here tonight again. And I think we're going to learn a little something else about these two teams tonight also as we head out west and talk about the Clippers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I could have sworn we just saw – oh, yeah, that's right. We did. And it was a blowout by the Clippers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who, let's face it here, Kevin Dolan, they're a little bit overrated on the defensive side. This Minnesota team feels like there's some things going on maybe in that locker room that aren't great for the morale of this team. Meanwhile, the Clippers, Paul George is a beast. No Kawhi. They're really starting to figure it out. They certainly know how to play some defense here. So 2.5 is the number. What do you think here? Are we going to get a repeat of what we just saw a couple of nights ago?
You know, it's funny, Joe, because we talked about a game a couple of weeks back on this show, that Minnesota were actually involved in as well, the Timberwolves and Pelicans game. And this just strikes me as a similar environment here. Back-to-back spot for the Timberwolves. Back in that game, they were laying 7.5 in game 1 against the Pelicans. Game 2, despite winning the first game, didn't cover though, but they were only 5.5-point favorites, actually went down. And I remember being on this show and everyone was saying the line made no sense. Power rankings wise, it should be closer to 8 or 9. But look, we all know what happened. New Orleans showed up, not only covered the game, ended up winning outright. And I don't know, this just strikes me as a very kind of similar scenario here. As you said, the Clippers blew them out last time. 60% of the money, I believe, coming in the Clippers tonight. Again, this line has not budged at all. So, I was on the Pelicans the last time, in that game I just talked about 2 weeks ago. And here, power rankings wise for me as well, this game should be closer to about 6.5 for me. Again, that's just my own personal power rankings. So, the fact that hasn't budged off this 2.5 number is telling to me. So I don't know. I think you take the Wolves out right here, plus 120 in my opinion, or leave the game alone. So yeah, that's the only way I'd look. Wolves are nothing.
Wolves are nothing here. And Tony Mejia, it's interesting. This game went over by what, almost 30 points a couple of nights ago, and yet I'm not seeing the total heading up. So it's interesting. Maybe we get a lot less scoring, or do you think you got to look at the home dog here for a little revenge?
Well, I just saw 217 at Penny, so it's headed up slightly, but you're right. It was 212.5, 213. You know why? It went 241 points scored. The Clippers shot 60% from the field. I mean, 21 three-pointers. Terrence Mann, new career high, 4 3-pointers. Reggie Jackson, 7 and 9 from 3. Paul George doing his Michael Jordan impression like he did against Portland when nobody else backed him. And look, Timberwolves also shot the ball pretty well. They shot 46%, 14 for 40 from 3. So they were there offensively as well. And in this game, you won't have one of their better offensive catalysts in D'Angelo Russell, who is sitting the game out with an injury. And that means that Patrick Beverley can put his stamp on this game a little more. You think these games matter to Pat Bev against the LA Clippers? I think so. I think this is an interesting spot for the under, first and foremost. And Beverley had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists the other night. So he was busted. He clearly wanted to beat his ex-teammates. And I think that'll be the case again. So my lean would be towards Minnesota if I was touching the side. But without a really talented player in Russell, they played their best ball with Russell getting healthy alongside Cat last season when Chris Finch came on board. So not having him in tonight's game and being more of a defensive team kind of takes me off of the side completely. I think the Clippers can indeed win this game once again. But I really like this total, especially if it keeps creeping up, because there was a reason why it was 212, 213. These were two of the poorest shooting teams coming into that game the other night. The Clippers were 26th. The Timberwolves were in that vicinity as well. And now you have a situation where Pat Beverley and Josh Okogie are going to get major minutes at the guard spots without Russell, one of your better offensive players. So will it change completely? I think it might. And I don't foresee Terrence Mann hitting 4 threes again. I certainly don't see Reggie Jackson going 7 for 9. So give me the under in this game, and it'll be a client play. So, we'll all go down for this case.
Love it. Will with the under. Yeah, listen, Patrick Beverley did play Wednesday night, guys. I believe it was 10 points, 10 boards. But the best part about that was the technical he got at towards the end of the game. So welcome back, Patrick Beverley there. And you're going to get that same kind of craziness here tonight, Tony Finn. But it is an interesting spot. And it's and I love these because we just saw it, 48 hours ago. And now, to Tony's point, are we going to get the same? Are we going to see a game go over by 28 points? Are they going to shoot everything from 3 and make it? What do you think we're going to get?
Well, how about this? How about as Paul George goes, so go the Clippers. And this is the way it's going to be all season. And what kind of mood? I guess it would be really nice to be a fly on the wall in his estate or wherever he lives in L.A. or in his hotel room on the road. This is a guy that's almost got a 3. He's 3 times his efficiency rating over the rest of this team. No one even comes close. And if Paul George doesn't score his 35, 40 points, these Clippers are pedestrian. They don't have any leader. The leader is on the other side. Is going to be on the court tonight. He was leader was last year. He's with another team. None of these guys are very vocal. George, he gets a little sassy sometimes, but we all know Leonard. He's a quiet leader. The leader of this Clippers team last year was who? Patrick Beverley. He's the mouth. He was the vocal guy. If let's say if George wasn't in this game tonight, okay? Let's say George is inactive for some reason. What do you think the line is in this game? I'm telling you right now, without George and Jackson as your leading scorer and point guard, and Kennard as your third scorer. Minnesota's a favorite. So I found it kind of strange when I first looked at this that it wasn't a little bit more than 2.5. But the more that Kevin talked and the more that Tony talked, the more that you've talked, I think it's perfectly understandable. And Minnesota's much like Clippers too. You don't know what you're getting with this group. Never do. I used to believe that you knew you were never going to get them to play defense. And what do? They jump out as a second-rated defense in the first 2 weeks of the season, right? If I know that George, got a maybe a little bit of some sexual favors last night before the game, and he's going to be in a good mood, I'm on the Clippers, but I don't know. So there we go.
He's on the road.
Yeah, what kind of sexual?
Well, okay. I guess that answers the question.
What are you flying to Minnesota? Shut your ass! I don't want to hear it. Be quiet, goddamn sexual, please. Bottom line, thank you very much, Robert. We're looking. I'm with you. I like the a money line play on Minnesota tonight. I think that's the way to go. All right, there we go. We got 3 now. Let's talk about our overtime game because finally, it feels like it's been forever, but we finally had a game in the 230s listed here. And that game, of course, well, who else, right? It's going to be Sacramento taking on the Charlotte Hornets. We saw it open up about 227.5, and boy, oh boy, that just kept going higher and higher and higher. So we're seeing right around 231, 230.5 in this. So Tony Mejia, let me come to you here. Not shocking that we're talking about these two teams right now in the 230s, but the question is, do you trust it with this new NBA and what we've seen from the totals? Might we be getting a little more defense than anticipated here?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't trust it, and especially with when you have Sacramento being reliant, if you want to get to the 230 mark, on a slumping De'Aaron Fox getting calls at the rim that he used to get last year, and he's not getting this season, then the answer is no. The total has surpassed 230, the opener, twice in Sacramento games this season, and is 1-1, and that went back to the Portland game in the opener. And for the Hornets, they're even being the highest scoring team in the NBA entering that Golden State game. It's only surpassed 230 twice and is again 1-1 in those games. And the last 2 times that the Hornets have taken the road, they failed to crack the century mark at Golden State and at Miami. Certainly Sacramento is not as good a defensive team as either of those squads, but they are starting Davion Mitchell now in games. And Davion Mitchell can really bother an opposing ball handler, say a Terry Rozier, early in contests. So it's under for me, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I've got the Kings winning 115-112. That's 227 points, and it still wouldn't get you home. So from that standpoint, it's under or nothing for me. I think it's going to be an exciting, interesting game. But in today's NBA, 230, you got to be special to get to that number.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when I saw it there, Tony Finn. But I'm looking here. You've got P.J. Washington is doubtful here. LaMelo Moore, Rozier back in the lineup here. They can score points in bunches, but what do you think here? Is it over or not for you in this one?
Well, how long does it take? For the wax to dull on the Chevy Charlotte or the Charlotte Chevy? It's dulled pretty quickly, hasn't it? They had a kind of darling. It's a sexy pick early in the season, 3-0 straight up. And against the spread, now 1-3 against the number and -7 net ratings in their last 4 games. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough to go over this number right now. When all we've talked about is how the books haven't made the proper adjustments to this new ruling, the no petty fouls, yada yada yada. However, in this game, I mean, consider this: the second largest total on the board, on a full board tonight, guys, was Washington and Memphis, right? And it was the big second largest total only because neither one of those teams are playing any defense. I mean, Memphis is just horrendous. It's just abysmal what they're playing. And this one, I'm going to stay with this. It's strange. Sacramento's played better. They've played better than I ever expected to. Walton's team will eventually be who they are. And what is that? a bubble gum chewing, don't give a shit about defense, and the totals are going up. I'll play over.
All right, he's going over to 230, laying it down. What about it, Kevin Dolan? Are we going to see any defense here tonight? Do you trust it, over or not for you?
It's got to be over. I think if if it was late in this game, if I had to play it, it'd be over. It's just Sacramento are coming in off their first opponent sub 100 game of the season, and Charlotte are coming in off their lowest points total of the season. So I think we're getting almost a perfect mix here of A, the Kings defense not being that good as they looked last time out, and B, the Hornets offense not being that bad as they looked last time out. So yeah, if I was playing this one, I would definitely lean over. Despite their recent shooting, Charlotte are still the number one team in the nation on scoring offense. They're still, the 3-point shooting percentage as well, still number one in that. And Sacramento, despite their standout defensive effort on Wednesday against the Pelicans, are still the 10th worst team in the league on overall defensive efficiency this season. So, the total is high. It's moved a bit too much for me to get involved here. But if I had to play it, I would still lean over.
All right, still looking over there, guys. That should be a fun one here late night. Taking a look at the Charlotte Hornets, Sacramento Kings, 10 p.m. Eastern tip. And that does it. Leads us to our best bet section here. And for those of you just joining us, it's pretty simple. We're going to throw 60 seconds on the clock for these guys. They can do whatever the hell they want with that 60 seconds, provided they drop a best bet in it somewhere. So, Mejia, lead us off here. 60 seconds on the clock. Where are you going here tonight?
All right. Well, let me again remind you, it's been a party on Friday night. 16-4, 5-1 money line record this year. No 5% plays tonight, but I'm 1-0 on that. So hopefully stay hot in the league. And tonight's pick is a rematch of the season opener between San Antonio and Orlando. Spurs won 123-97 at the AT&T Center in San Antonio. They'll play at Amway tonight, and I just don't see the Magic winning, even though they won't have to deal with Jakob Poeltl, who is another guy in COVID protocols right now. Drew Eubanks did a really nice job for the Spurs, filling in for him. The Spurs just played the Mavericks really tight. The Magic had a halftime lead against Boston and ended up with 79 whole points in losing. And they really don't have a very distinct home court advantage. So from that standpoint, I think the Spurs are a safe play, 3.5. Even if it's a tighter game than expected, which I think it might be, you still have a situation where you can salt it away down the stretch with free throws. Watch Bryn Forbes tonight to be the X factor and ride the Spurs, 3.5.
That makes me sweat out an Orlando Magic game tonight. Good Lord. All right, there we go, Tony. Jesus. Good Lord. Is there any other games on the board? Talk to me, Tony Finn. 60 seconds on the clock. Where are you going here tonight?
I'm going to go to a big, exciting matchup. Everyone should be watching this one. That is the Memphis-Washington game. I looked really hard, very long at this game. And I finally came to my senses a little bit and said, listen, Tony, it's okay to have a bad team in your play as long as you're playing against them. And I'm going to shelf both these teams until I have to trust one, or at least have some understanding of who they are. Let's just do who they are. They are who they are. If you review the Wizards' metrics beginning of last season, inconsistent. Even when dangerous Westbrook finally found his spot, they became a little more consistent. But Memphis ranks 30th defensive efficiency. They're allowing 115 per 100 possessions. No team lives in the paint more than Memphis. They score more points in the paint than any team in the NBA. Yet they've been horrible defending the paint this year. This game screams high scoring. It's more scoring than our over the total play. Take over the total, and I failed. Corpus, I'm so sorry. Over.
Holy shit. Kevin Dolan, please. I'm still trying to pray. No, you didn't make it. Oh my God. Kevin Dolan, 60. I know you guys. I know what you're doing. So again, 67 is Dolan. Where are you going here tonight? Good Lord.
Well, just to mention first, Joe, we got an absolute stack yard, 5% NFL triple pack loaded up for this weekend, college football pack as well. We got soccer, rugby, boxing, obviously, huge fight on this weekend. So We'll be adding NBA and NHL as well. So great time to jump on board. Use code CHAMP50, CHAMP50 to knock $50 off a full 7-day all-access pass. So as well, go over to WagerTalk TV on YouTube to check out our Canelo Plant breakdown video as well for this weekend. But best bet for tonight was actually going to be on today's contrarian play. I do like the Cavs in this spot tonight, catching points against the Raptors. But I also like the under in that game as well. So thought I'd throw that in as a little bonus freebie. Cleveland's 7th best defensive efficiency numbers on the road this season. Toronto ranked 4th on opponent points per game. So, you know, this total's come in a bit, but I still think we see this one go under the total tonight. So, yeah, under 204.5 points for me between the Cavs and Raptors tonight. Best bet.
Oh, see, now that's how you do it. Little icing left on it. That's how you do it, Tony Finn. All right, Tony Mejia, quick question here. Quick prop bet. Who makes more buckets tonight, Cade Cunningham or Kawhi Leonard? Because they're making just about the same.
Oh, my God. That's Oklahoma State slander for you.
He sucks. He's terrible.
I thought you would be excited over his first double-double. Finally looked like a #1 pick last night.
Hey, he made his first three-pointer. What's he?
Yeah, I know. Wow. There are only 40 games into the season. I can't.
They're going to call for your diploma in Stillwater.
Yeah, I know they are. There we go. Best bets. Here we go. Spurs. Tony Mejia just wants you to sweat out the Orlando Magic and the San Antonio Spurs here tonight. Tony Finn, something about sexual favors. He's on his way to Minnesota. Anyways, taking the over to 20. Kevin Dolan is backing the contrarian side there. He's taking the Cavaliers and the points. He also likes the under 204.5 in Toronto tonight. And guys, don't forget, you heard Tony Mejia talk about it red hot on Fridays, guys. He's crushing it in the NBA heading into the weekend. Best bets are locked and loaded for all of these guys. And 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages, guys, are half price right now. No better time for you to hop on board and partner up with these three guys here heading into the weekend. And on behalf of Tony Mejia, Tony Finn, Kevin Dolan, guys, hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. And, of course, make sure you come back and join us on Mondays. We do it all over again here on the NBA Tip-Off Show. Until then, best of luck with your plays, guys. We'll talk to you again next week.
And they're off. Large fields and huge pari-mutuel pools result in the best opportunity to profit betting horse racing on Breeders' Cup weekend. WagerTalk's own horse racing expert, Sig, will be joined by handicapper and horse racing contest expert Sean Alvarez as they preview the entire field for Breeders' Cup weekend in the 2021 WagerTalk Breeders' Cup preview and wagering guide. You will receive in-depth analysis of every horse in the 14-race field from our experts, as well as selections and betting strategies from both Sig and Sean, all 14 Breeders' Cup races on Friday and Saturday. For a limited time, if you pre-order the guide before midnight on October 31st, you can save $10 off the regular price and pay only $29.99 for expert selections and analysis for every Breeders' Cup race. Don't hesitate, grab your 2021 WagerTalk Breeders' Cup preview and wagering guide now at wt.buzz/sig.